Any more questions? Just if everybody's here, I'll just continue. Okay, I will just do this question and then we will go through the sutra. The question is, when an emotion is so overpowering and you feel so overwhelmed, it doesn't feel like it will become wisdom. So, my answer is going to be very intellectual and very sort of technical, because these are very important and practical questions. What you need is pith instructions. What you need is sort of what you need to learn is how should I put this? Well, of course, the classic term is tap, upaya. Guess it's translated as skillful means raji, am I right? Upaya, skillful means. But although the word skillful means is overly used, so it does seem to obscure the proper meaning.
It's upaya kaushali.
Upaya?
Kaushali.
Kaushali. Because tap in Tibetan has a really quite a profound meaning in some of the element. Many times it's like what do you call it, Prashant? You know, sometimes you press the Apple option.
Shift control.
Shift control. You know what I'm talking about?
Shortcuts.
Shortcuts.
Yeah.
You understand? Well, it's not only a shortcuts. There are things that you do or use. Yes, there are things that you can do which at glance does not have that look, or at glance you feel that it won't, how can it do that job? But actually that's the way that actually performs the sort of that gives you the result. So this is one of the elements of the word, the Tibetan word tap, it's like I'm trying to get okay, maybe this might work. You have a milk and then you squeeze a little bit of lemon in it. And then what happens? So curdly, right? Yeah. So to you, at glance, lemon has nothing to do with the milk. But that simple method does the trick. Yes, I think the word is the trick. The trick. The tap has that connotation of the trick. It's like the trick. And you understand what I'm talking about? The trick. Some help on thesauruses would be good. The trick. What else can you think about?
Catalyst?
Catalyst? What is catalyst?
Something you put in a chemical reaction. It doesn't do anything itself, but it doesn't change itself, but it causes a chemical reaction.
Yes, so catalyst will work in that case.
Catalyst would be more a trigger.
Yeah, but it will work because, so the catalyst works because actually, you are supposed to tame your mind. Mind is the, as Buddha said, Lashandadeva said, and everybody said, your mind has to be tamed. But so, at glance, what is this sitting straight got to do with the mind? It doesn't make sense. Body is body, sitting straight or sleeping straight or walking straight. All of that could do the job. But it is sitting straight that actually does seem to have a certain sort of, it brings up the effect more swiftly, painlessly, quickly, So, what I'm trying to answer is this, the emotion so overpowering, overwhelmed, and it doesn't feel like it will ever become a wisdom. So ideally, your master, who is very skilled, the skillful means of that trick, also keeps on changing depending on who you are dealing with. Would the lemon work with the almond milk? Right? It won't. So there you go. So almond milk, lemon, kilos of lemon, no yogurt. Like that. So it depends with also different people. So this is where the path becomes so complicated and so intriguing and so meticulous. This is where path becomes so, complex. But at the same time, if you do have the right person and the right trick, and this is where Tantra excels, that they have a certain trick, like the lemon, to make that emotion become wisdom. Actually, even the word become is already too weak. Emotion is the wisdom. It is. Just as in the Tantra says, 1 kilo of jealousy is 1 kilo of wisdom. Not less, not more. But you need to encounter a good alchemist who can sort of shift that sort of fact. it's like it's like a table, chair, everything. You know, if a chair, if a table supposedly table has been used only as a chair because of lack of knowledge for a long time, and then suddenly somebody else come and sat on it, then there, the big, what do you call it, exposition of the mandala has happened. So from then on, that thing that you have only used only as a table has now become multifunctional. You can also use as a table and a chair. So that very moment, the clinging and the fixation that this will only work as a table collapses. So of course, ideally you need that. So this is why I'm saying I will try to answer your question sort of more intellectually. But also, if I may try to try to make it practical, since that's what you are asking. Emotions become so-called emotion. I will use the word so-called, that's important. Emotions become so-called emotion when it is not accompanied by awareness. I think the most crude way of explaining this, if you are peeing somewhere, just peeing, and suddenly from the front somebody looked at you, automatic reaction is you will stop. Because you started. Because that's the sort of the conditioning we have. So actually, while we are having extreme anger, extreme jealousy, extreme pride, if we could sort of inject even a little bit of virus of awareness, that emotion has become sick. And a sick emotion is what you need, right? Because the sick emotion is a very weak emotion. So what we need to attempt is to really insert that virus of awareness. You understand what I'm talking about? I'm sorry, I'm being very cryptic here. Yeah, that's what we are trying. But of course, for most of us, for a long time, we are always hours, if not weeks, months and years late in injecting that virus of awareness. So because we are always delayed, emotions do get fat. Unfortunately, not just fat, but agile, almost like sumo wrestler. And really very much like a sumo wrestler because they look good. They're the most sought after men, in Japan, for instance. So they're very attractive, so you get so entangled. So actually there is a path, and it's a painless path. This is what makes Buddha Dharma probably very special. It's quite painless to be aware. But the problem is this. Okay, let's say I'm jealous right now. I'm really jealous. And then I insert the virus of awareness. But for the first time in my many, many lifetimes, okay? And for the first time I'm inserting the virus for a minute, for a 1 minute, probably not even that, for a second. Immediately what will happen is another emotion will take over. And that emotion is called expectation that your jealousy will go everything, go away. You understand what I'm saying? So that expectation that you will have a full victory, this will then lead you to, obviously, your jealousy is not going to go away. Obviously, it's going to make you so disappointed. And then you look at probably a dozen of flattened zafu, and yet you still have same amount of jealousy. I don't know, few decades ago, and then you feel very discouraged. And but if you can be satisfied with this consistency, I think basically what you need to learn is to really learn to be this very irritable, annoying virus to the emotion. You understand? It just has to come. It has to be that. So what will happen is after maybe like few years, the moment you get jealous, there's also this thing called awareness. Oh, I'm jealous. And then slowly, you laugh at yourself. Ha ha, I'm jealous. You understand? And then you really laugh at it. And then of course there are some other emotions like feeling really ridiculous about yourself. All this happens, but those are like weeds. When you are planting flowers, weeds also grow. And if weeds are growing, it's a bad sign and good sign both. It's a good sign because at least it's growing. Some sort of growth is happening. It's kind of bad, I mean, I should not really use the word bad and good. It's kind of bad because it could, it creates a lot of work. Because you want the tomato, you want the marigold. This what is weeds doing here? It creates so much work. That's it. Anyway, let's go to the next person. Buddha sent, who one of the greatest, Kashyapa. This happened to be Buddha's own regent when he passed into the Parinirvana. It's a very big figure, Kashyapa. And again, he refused to go. And this is because once upon a time, when Kashyapa was begging alms, and Kashyapa, I guess he must have thought, I will go to poor people's place to beg alms, because these poor people need merit so that they can become rich in the future, something like that. So he went to the poor people's place to beg alms. Out of nowhere comes Vimalakirti. Then, what are you doing? This is really, you're making a mistake. Segregating between poor and rich. You have to go and beg alms with the attitude of equanimity. You have to go begging alms, thinking of all sentient beings. You can't just, have compassion to, some poor, sick, bedridden orphan, or some stray dog who is barking, who is infested with, what's the dog's disease? Rabies. Yeah. You can't just choose to have a, compassion to rabies-infected dogs and not have compassion towards Donald Rumsfeld, or like Obama, or I don't know, Bill Gates or Warren Buffett. They are equally object of, they're equally object of your compassion. And it's just so profound. You can't go through it, or we change it, same episode, or we change it, and he said, this is a really important remark, he said, when you go begging alms, you should go to beg alms to those who look at, beings who look at parts and think it's whole. What an amazing statement. That's just so incredible. Beings who look at parts, but they all have the delusion think that it's one and it's whole, which includes every ignorant sentient beings, basically. So you should go and beg to those who have that kind of short-sightedness. Anyway, after long discussions, Kashyapa said to Buddha, he thought, if this is why I was saying this morning, the fact that Vimalakirti was a lay person is important, because here Kashyapa makes a statement saying, if a lay person talks like this, if a lay person has such an accomplishment, and he was saying, he said, if a lay person talks like this, how can we not think about all the enlightenment of all sentient beings? From then on, Kashyapa said, he has actually stopped teachings that leads sentient beings only to the self-liberation. He only taught Mahayana Sutras, I guess. Anyway, at the end, Vimalakirti crushed my pride. So, I don't feel like going to ask him. I don't feel like going to, go to him because, sort of annoying. Right? Okay, I will go through some of these this character that we know, and then there are many other characters that we are not so familiar. I will skip. The next one, we know him very well. I'm sure, especially Chinese, they know him very well. Subhuti, who else? The one who caused Vajracchedika Sutra. So anyway, Buddha asked Subhuti to go. Again, the same thing, Subhuti refused. Why? Because Subhuti said, once upon a time, he was begging alms everywhere. And he ended up going to literally Vimalakirti's house. This annoying person's house itself. He went to his house. And then, what literally Vimalakirti did, he really prepared nice food, really delicious food, and fill up the begging bowl and, put everything on a tray or something like that. And then, as he was about to give it to Subhuti, he stopped. He said, Vimalakirti said, only if you think that all phenomena is equal. Only if you think that only if you have the ability to understand the equanimity of all phenomena, such as the equanimity of the samsara and the nirvana, such equanimity between things. Either possessions or emotions. Only if you can see, understand, and if you can understand and accept the equality of possessions of the emotions, equality between that and the enlightened qualities, only then take this. A very cheeky person, this one. Oh, this is a very big one here. Also, then he keeps on saying, if you, Subhuti, you should take my offering only if you don't abandon desire, if you don't abandon anger, if you don't abandon ignorance. Yet, also if you don't get stained by ignorance, stained by anger, stained by desire. Only if you are not a victim of transitory phenomena. Only if you are not if you don't abandon craving and yet not stained by craving. Take my offering. So on and so forth. Only if you have never seen the Four Noble Truths, but yet never violated the Four Noble Truths, should you take this offering. Only if you have never seen Buddha, only if you have never heard the Dharma, only if you have never venerated the Sangha, you should take this offering, so on and so forth. Then, after long discussions again, chochu members chudnesa. Kare sona. Chochu members chudnesi. Tom to just on the Nahu channel. Anyway, I guess he got very depressed after hearing this. He said that the whole 10 directions become dark. And he just dropped the begging bowl and he was about to leave. But then Vimalakirti won't hear this. He was, chasing after him. And Vimalakirti said, look, Subhuti, don't be afraid, take it. I will ask you a question. He's so relentless. I will ask you a question. If a Tathagata asks or say what I have said to illusory being, would the illusory being be afraid? Of course not, because he is an illusory being. Likewise, everything what I've just said was never said to anyone. Not forget about what I have said is an illusion, but It was not even said to anyone. Therefore, Subhuti, don't be afraid to anything that is illusory. All my words are also illusory. And actually, this Subhuti's discussion, Subhuti and Vimalakirti's discussion is one of the very, very important point of discussion can be used in the Tantric, because in the Tantra we talk about letters, 6 syllables. And here this phrase are quoted in the many, many Tantric texts. Anyway, such thing has happened. And therefore I have lost confidence in facing this guy. I'm not going. I'll skip now few people and I'll go later. I'll now go to Buddha asked his son Rahula, okay, you go. And he has his story. He said he's not going. Why? Because once I was among people, crowd, literally crowd. I was, hanging around with the people, quite a lot of crowd. And this guy, this Vimalakirti, came straight to me and said, hey, you are the son of Buddha. And you have given up household, in fact, royal, palace. So tell me. Oh, actually, wait. No, sorry, I'm mistranslating. Rahula was among lots of literary crowd. And these guys, they have asked him, you are the son of the Buddha. Please, you have given up your, royal luxury. Tell us why you did that. What a great thing to renounce. It's so rich and you renounce. Why? What is the benefit of doing so? And Rahula was explaining to these kids, these people, how important it is, what beneficial it is to become a monk and all of that. And then, as I was explaining to these guys this, Vimalakirti returned up. And Vimalakirti did a prostration to him. But after the prostration, Vimalakirti said, Rahula, you should not say like this. How you are explaining the benefit of becoming monk, you should not speak like that. Why? Vimalakirti said, because there is no benefit in renouncing. There is no benefit in becoming monk. This is a very, I was choosing this because this phrase is again used in many tantric commentary. These are, by the way, later on we will discuss, probably this afternoon. All this comes in the category of what we call Yi Tongdani, Langsana, three doors of liberation, we call it. Because when there is something to get, when we talk about a benefit, you are talking about something to get. You're getting the benefit. Getting, acquiring, achieving. So the big point of the Vimalakirti is that if there is something to get, it has to be cause of a problem. Yeah? Anything that you will get will lead you to problem. This is anyway, anything that can be achieved, can be accomplished, means it is a subject of compounded phenomena. Renunciation. To be renouncant, you have to not only renounce the cause, but you have to renounce the result also. You not only renounce the worldly life and so on and so forth, but you have to also renounce the benefit. Remember Rahula was explaining the benefit of being the monk. And Vimalakirti is challenging here by saying that even the benefit need to be renounced. Maybe we can do some question now, at this point. We have 20 minutes. Some of this is little difficult to understand. What is Buddha field and Dharma in the context of today's sutra? I thought I've already explained. Buddha field is this. Dharma is no word. I'm a little confused. If Vimalakirti is so knowledgeable, isn't he being presumptuous himself by telling others how to conduct their practice? Instead of making an aspiration that they learn the right way? Very good. Yeah. Somewhere, I wish I could do a better job. And maybe you should, of course, there's a lot of translation, by the way. There's a lot of, it's been translated twice. In English.
Yes.
And in Chinese, of course, there is.
From Tibet.
Yeah.
Robert Thurman has translated.
Robert Thurman,
John
McCrae. This question, the particular question, will be answered. I don't know whether we will reach to that point. When finally Manjushri goes, there's a discussion, really big discussions, and more miracles. In fact, this sutra, this particular sutra, and the sutra's sort of volume number, this volume, previous volume, so to speak, and then the later volume are really amazing Mahayana sutras that teaches us shunyata, emptiness. That's mainly it. right after this Vimalakirti Sutra, just to arouse interest in you, is the Manjushri Sutra, which is very short and it is beautiful because it is again an event. At one point when Buddha was teaching somewhere in the sun, Manjushri is holding the umbrella. Very, he insists doing this. And Maitreya was nearby and said, look, you have accomplished so much. You are you. If you want to be, you could be Buddha right now. And you are like the oldest of the oldest. You are the spring bodhisattva. You have achieved everything. And yet, you are still, being so insistent in, like holding the umbrella to accumulate merit. Why are you, being like this? And that's how the whole sutra was triggered. And it is a discussion between Maitreya and Manjushri. Manjushri explaining about how sort of the concept of merit. Because you see, in the ordinary world, when we talk about merit, we always end up talking about something to collect. Even in the Tibetan, we always use the word cho, sa. Sa means sa, collect, accumulate. And Manjushri will, in that sutra, deconstruct the whole idea of accumulation, yet needing the merit. Merit, like, I don't know how to even put it, like increasing and, basically enhancing the merit without the accumulation. And the act, by the way, is a very simple act, holding the umbrella. And all this works very well, because you see, this is what I was saying right at the beginning. The Buddhist teaching on shunyata, emptiness, like this, is not just an intellectual statement, arbitrary, intellectual, very, nice to read, but then you keep it in the bookshelf. Buddhism, especially Mahayana Buddhism, does not deny seemingly religious act like holding the umbrella. It does not. It accepts. You can burn incense, you can offer flowers, you can do all this seemingly religious stuff. This is why it's not a nihilistic path. Otherwise, statements like, what's the point of becoming monk? There is no benefit in becoming monk. That can be taken out as a very nihilistic. After the conversation with Rahula, okay, continuing with this, I'm answering this on the basis of what does one make choice. After the words spoken to the Rahula, what I just explained, the Mahayana will not deny taking the vow, the practice of taking the vow. In fact, the Mahayana has all the reason to encourage you to be monk, nun, renunciant, making offerings. You have to hear it this way, okay. To reborn as a beautiful person, we make offering of flowers, let's say. That's one way. To accumulate enough karma to be reborn as a human being, you make offering of flower, another way. Here in the Vimalakirti Sutra, because of the shunyata, we make offering. All the more reasons why you should not deny the act of offering the flower. All the more reasons. Should not be heard as, okay, so everything is shunyata, no need to make offering of flower. That's nihilist. That's okay. So I just need to shorten the question a little bit. I never heard a layperson sound us to be enlightened. In all the old texts and which is they suggest us to go to the retreat. Many of them all did so. So how can we as a normal layperson can be enlightened? I think the term retreat is misleading us a little bit. For good reason though. Because it so happened now, every time we talk about a retreat, we are talking about something that involves shutting the door, isn't it? And isolating yourself, not talking with people. I don't know, depending on how strict you want to be. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? People say, okay, go to retreat, go to the mountains. But in the mountains there are birds. Maybe, if romantically speaking, maybe deers, leopards. Never in the retreat manual it says you should hide from them. You know what I'm saying? Like insects, butterflies, while you're in retreat, they come, flies. How do you avoid them? How do you stop them? You understand? How do you not let birds see you? Because it tells you that there is no, interference. They don't talk to you, you don't talk to them. There is no deliberate sort of communication with them. So it doesn't matter, 100 birds fly in and out. Your retreat is still in retreat. Retreat gets disrupted only when people whom you know most comes. Really. Actually, even if some stranger knocks at your door and asks for the direction, I think your retreat is still okay. Because you don't know, he's equally like a bird. He or she is like a bird or a cow, doesn't matter. You don't know him, he doesn't know you, he's just interested in for direction. So this tells us that retreat really is practice of no distractions. And I have to tell you, so-called the retreat that we are talking about, like shutting the door, it does not necessarily protect you from, interference. What? With now the Wi-Fi and, all kinds of things. And even without Wi-Fi, broadband, you could be sitting hours and hours and your mind could be planning all kinds of things after the retreat. That's usually retreats, especially long retreats, are perfect for planning things. Planning your house, what rugs you would buy, shopping list. Really good for shopping list, I'm telling you. And things like have you lost like earring or wallet or like phone charger, do retreat, you remember. And it's actually also quite a good it actually also shows retreat works, because it means that your mind is calm. At last there's a chance to be calm, so therefore you remember where the phone charger is, where your nail clipper is, all of that. Otherwise you're so occupied you don't remember those. So what I'm saying basically is the retreat. Let us be careful with defining the retreat. I myself, in my lifetime, I have seen a lot of lay people doing good retreat, not less than monks or nuns. I have also seen monks and nuns, those who get so entangled with spiritual materialism. So we don't really know, but of course, a discipline of a monk, discipline of a nun, does add to your self-imposed boundary and confinement, which is always helpful, especially for the beginners. Because, as I was saying earlier, even like sitting straight, in a way, is a self-imposed confinement. Because you are voluntarily, consciously applying the method of sitting straight. Immediately it takes you to some sort of a alert situation, mindfulness. So that's one. Okay, let's take a lunch break. No?